Greetings, I'm Muku, and this is my Miiverse profile. Just wanted to give a quick introduction at start, and then we can move on to some of the basics. I'm an American, living in Japan and have for the past 5 years. I know that my Miiverse profile says United States, and obviously that's where I'm originally from. But in order to pick English and pick the US, because, well, that's technically home, it would only really let us choose US territories and states and stuff. But obviously we don't live in the US right now, so their whole language plus where you can choose your time zone's kind of wonky, but I assume that's so you don't start importing stuff, but, region locking, not good. But in any case, I've been on since November 27th, maybe a day or two earlier. I believe the 27th, though, is when I started doodling. Let's get to the video. Going to cover some of the basics in Miiverse and drawing, and to help you get started and hopefully cover some bases and go from there. So before we get started, I really should encourage everybody to have time and patience with this. The thing is I'm still practicing even, and I notice I'm getting better. Just take lots of time. It's going to take a lot of practice. I mean, you may have some images that you create that aren't exactly up to par to what you would like, but, just put them out there. You may amaze someone else. There are some of my own that I wasn't too thrilled with, but it seems others have enjoyed it. Always look at this as it's an experiment that you're always going to be getting better. You're always going to be changing. You may change your style. You may change how you go about things. You may even change your process of achieving what you want. Lots of time, and potentially, depending on what you're doing, a lot of erasing. So be prepared. Okay, so this is the Wii U gamepad. I've got the vertical ruler here. I'm doing it on the Wii U gamepad to give a better idea. I mean, you can see it on the TV, but it's a little bit more difficult to get an idea. Each larger line indicates 10, so I alternated white-black until I got 10, and then made a larger line. That comes out to 120 pixels vertical. Okay, so we're back on the Wii U gamepad. This time I've done horizontal, alternating white-black again to get the horizontal pixel distance. Each extended line again represents 10. So in this particular instance, this would be 320 pixels across. So when it's all said and done, you'll end up with 320 pixels in length and 120 pixels in height. Kind of small, actually, when you think about it. Depending on how you work, you can easily fit stuff in there, or maybe need to work at it a bit. I know sometimes I find I try to fit too much in too small of a space. This is in pixels. For those who don't know what a pixel is, it's the smallest single component on a screen that creates images. So if I were to scroll in and zoom in at the 320, you would see a bunch of pixels making up the 3, the 2, and the 0. This is what we have on our computer screens and everything. It is what creates an image. So, in this, you're only going to have black and white. That may seem like a hindrance, like you can't accomplish a whole lot. But honestly, I kind of like it that way. It kind of makes you think a bit more about how to achieve different shades, I guess, of gray to help things stand apart. This is one of my simple, basic, just straight up black and white. I didn't do any types of gray variation in it. It's actually helped me because I can do pencil drawings and stuff, but black and white has always been kind of a sticking point for me because it requires a bit more thought to get color. And when I say color, I mean that in terms of shades of gray, because obviously you aren't going to have like red or green or whatever. This is just a simple black and white. Let's take a look here and see something that's a little bit more with some shading or something. This is all my stuff. Well, let's choose this because I've got some normal gray stuff going on, but I also have some darker shading on Sonic himself. So it requires you to think maybe a little bit outside the box, depending on how you normally think about black and white and all. But you can achieve a lot, actually, with just black and white. And there have been folks saying that they would love color, and I agree, color and all that would be awesome, but it would also complicate things on many levels. I do think, though, that if they offer color, it would have to be within a specific program. I don't know how easy it would be to code it in the way it is now, but I would hope that they retain the integrity of what we have now and leave it as very simplistic black and white, because some of the images that other folks have done are amazing. So I've been asked quite often, how do you go about doing these drawings? And it's the same as if you're drawing on paper or with a Wacom tablet or anything. It's the same general idea. Let's go to my one I did last night, actually. You might maybe recognize it. Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad, maybe I just rickrolled you unintentionally. But I did do it on Miiverse on purpose. I kind of wanted my jollies last night. So let's take something like this. It's the same as a regular drawing. You do a rough sketch to try to get the outlines and stuff how you want it. This one would be easier than, say, another drawing where I might need more refining or something. But you do a rough sketch. For something like this, it would be getting the general shape. Once you have the general shape, what I do generally on just black and whites like this, I would fill in the black areas. So even where this little white space is in here, I filled all that in, all these parts as well. And then what I usually do is then clean up the lines, because then I can work in the black that's already there or add to it if need be. For something like this, it's pretty quick versus some other things. Clean up the lines, add any details on the inside if you need it, clean up any other parts, and you're good to go on something like this. Let's see. Let's take a look at something a little bit more maybe involved. this is kind of a different story. It's pixel art, but that's for another time. Something like, let's see, my waves off Kanagawa. Required a lot more. Basically, for something like this, I went and did rough shapes of all the objects, the boats, Mount Fuji, the basic wave itself, but with the white cap. I did those lines, added in the white caps, did the rough lines for them. Then I went back and cleaned up the lines, because I'm going to need to clean them up, just get a basic general idea. Mainly for one, so I can work on parts without getting the lines mixed up into what I'm currently doing, and then eating into the space of the wave later. Then basically it's piece by piece, like I did the sky, even that little piece of the sky. Then I went back, worked on the boat closer to Mount Fuji, then went and worked on this wave. I blocked off the white cap part, worked on the wave part, then I worked on the white cap, then worked on the white cap part of this, and then went back, worked on the boat, and then slowly worked my way through. So it's a process, and it's always going to be about rough drawing, creating, cleaning up. It's just like any other thing. It's a process, and it's a process you'll have to work on your own, kind of get your own way of doing things, I suppose. Maybe you don't want to clean the lines up yet. Maybe there's something else you need to do or want to do. But ultimately, it all comes down to the same steps. Rough sketch, clean up the lines, refine the lines to what you need, and then shading and the like. And so it's pretty easy. It's just can be time consuming depending on the size of the project you chose. Okay, so let's talk about some hazards as an artist. There are 3 that I can think of anyway. If I'm missing one, let me know. 2 of them I've actually encountered on my own drawings. Both of them fairly advanced along, and not something I was expecting. Sometimes you lose track of where the buttons are because you're rotating the gamepad a lot because you're trying to do something, achieve something. Sometimes it's just on accident. Maybe your knuckle touched and you didn't mean to, and it hit said button. Well, you're kind of screwed. So it's extremely important to be careful, very careful. Let's go. Let me show you some of these. Actually, we'll just go to 007. Not like we're gonna post anything here, but we'll use it as an example. And some drawings there. Okay, so let's draw something like. Let's just draw a quick Snoopy. Bad Snoopy. Very quick Snoopy. Okay. So we got our Snoopy. Three hazards. 2 are you can't. Well, actually, all of them you can't get back from, but 2 of them are majorly devastating. The third one for me isn't so much, but it also depends on how you work. First, let me cover the completely devastating ones. This right here, this button, is the erase the whole drawing button, and if I do that, your whole drawing is gone. You can't recover from that. It's gone forever. So, kind of screwed on that front if that should happen. Let's do... Okay, so here's another drawing. Another horrible hazard is actually this button right here. And the most recent accident I had is actually here because I lost track. I was moving the gamepad around a lot, adjusting, I think I was doing some shading on something, and it required a lot of moving. I lost track of it and hit this button, and that's devastating. So you can go to the Wii menu, you can do all this stuff. If you hit Miiverse, you go back in, but you've lost everything that you did. You just closed the home menu and you're still here. If I'd clicked the Miiverse button on that screen, I would have been brought back to this loading screen. So, very dangerous, very scary. Done that recently, actually, and that was no good. There's no getting back what you had. So, with that said, be very careful. The last one can be a problem if you don't often check your TV. So let's actually go here. So let's just draw a piece, we'll draw a pizza. Or a wheel, or whatever it is you see there. So, with that, but we'll do okay. I often do this to kind of see what it's going to look like within the work area and also on the TV here. It allows me sometimes to adjust things like shading and all, depending on the project I'm working on. So you have that, it's saved. I can either cancel it and back out, which would lose it, obviously, so be careful with that, or I could post it. But if I'm not done, let's say I want to add a Coke, can of Coke. Kind of bad for one-handed. Oh, okay. So if I hit OK, then it would change it on the menu there. But let's say while I'm in the middle of drawing, I accidentally hit this. It's the back button. You lose whatever you've added since. So it's very important to be very careful with, again, if you're moving the gamepad and stuff like I do. I've not encountered that particular issue, but I can see where it would be a problem if you're not careful or you kind of lose track of the position of the screen and your knuckle hits it or something. So be extremely careful. I've lost several projects this way, and at some point I'm going to try them again. It's kind of disheartening, and after all that work lost, it's kind of a pain to go back to. So just be extremely careful and know that those hazards exist. Something that should be said, but I guess can sometimes often be forgotten, I've actually recently done this myself, is that some of these projects, depending on your plans for it, can end up being kind of time-consuming, depending on if you're doing a particular version of grayscale or some dithering or something. The point here is try to budget your time appropriately. I've had I think my longest project was, actually let me go to it because this would be a great example. My longest project ended up being this. And that's because of the grayscale and dithering. This took 5-6 hours, and it's not because Mount Fuji took the time or the clouds took the time. It's actually because the grayscale that I did and the dithering I did took forever. Now, I'll be the first to admit I don't have great eyes. However, the particular gray style I did, which is something I'll cover in a future video, but it's alternating black, white, black, white. So I don't have the steadiest of hands, but they've actually gotten better with practice. But my eyes are really what killed me on this. I started this kind of like 8 at night, and I didn't get done till 1 in the morning. So yeah, 5 hours. So obviously not good planning on my part. I knew some of the grayscaling I've done before, which horizontal and vertical lines, took some time, but nothing to the extent that this did. At some point when it was nearing the 1 o'clock time, I figured I gotta cut my losses. I wanted to do this grayscale all the way across. That was not gonna happen. So, as such, I did as much as I could. Then I started the dithering, and I wanted to go a little further, but at 1 a.m. I was like, I'm done. Not good timing, budgeting of time for me, but I also had never done this particular style of graying before, so I wasn't aware it would take that long, but I should have taken heed right after an hour after I'd only done like a small corner or something, that this just wasn't going to work. But I'm too stubborn to give up what little I'd done, so I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Also, be sure that if you're on an extended project to be near an outlet, because the battery life on this is kind of crappy. And I don't think I'm going to get so lucky, but you could be in the middle of a long project like I did on this and have the red light show up. Sometimes it goes straight to blinking red, which is kind of scary. So be sure to be near an outlet if you're going to be on this long. For this particular piece, I had went red, and then I even charged back up to full while I was doing it, and then unplugged it again just to get away from the outlet. So make sure to budget your time, but also to be aware that this thing does not have the greatest battery life, so you may need to be close to an outlet on a decently long project. Especially since you can't save these drawings. There's nothing you can do to save. Just make a post, so they're not expecting you to make like masterpieces, so gotta be really careful. So I just wanted to thank you for tuning in. I don't proclaim myself to be the best on Miiverse, nowhere near. I mean, there's so many different people out there with so many different styles, and I think really the styles are what bring each person to light. They're amazing. Everyone has their own style, and it makes everyone that much more awesome. I have my own particular, I hope you like. If not, that's cool too, but I just want to bring my own ideas and opinions and, some techniques to folks who may not be sure. I know I've explained some techniques in my own drawings, comment sections, when I've been asked how I do something, but, sometimes text isn't enough, and it's easier to see or to hear, or maybe both. So I'm hoping to help folks with Miiverse. You may be an artist already, in which case maybe I hope this can help you in some way. If you like to doodle, maybe you can learn something. If you're not an artist, maybe you can pick up some techniques, or maybe even with enough practice, become one and join us on Miiverse. It's all about I wouldn't say the yes, because for me that's just a side effect. I like seeing people get excited about drawings, whether it's an old character that they haven't seen in years, or it's just something that they really enjoy. So that's why I draw, and it's just simply fun. It's an experiment for me because I'm always practicing new things. Every picture for me outside of some of the basics is an experiment, different techniques, different styles. So for me, it's practice, but it's also just having fun. And really, that's what it's all about. So thank you for tuning in. I'm not sure what next video is going to be about yet. I have quite a few topics on my list. Grayscale dithering being one of them that I can think off the top of my head. Optical illusion art as well. Pixel art. Those are the top 3 I can think of right now, but I'm pretty sure I have more on the list. But if you have anything you want to see, any techniques, anything, maybe you see a particular person's drawing and you want to know how they did it. I don't know, I'll look it up, I'll find out how they did it. So, drop me a line through messages or leave a comment, and I'll add it to my list if it looks like it's going to be a good topic. And will help others, obviously. It's can't be something that's just single by itself, maybe a couple minutes, but maybe it's something I can add into, with a bunch of other smaller topics. So don't think any one idea is dumb. Leave me a message, see what you want to see, and I'll see what I can do. Thank you for tuning in, and hope you have a good day.